generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, it's just me in the movie discussion. I went and saw the Expendables 4 with my dad. Sarah didn't really want to go, so I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts on the movie. In the very beginning, we're going to just talk about non-spoiler stuff, and then I'll talk more about the movie in depth once we give a rating for the movie, and then, yeah. So, let's just go ahead and get going. First impressions, this movie is pretty bad. I was going into the movie feeling hopeful. I rewatched the first 3 movies before going, and I didn't see the third movie when it came out in theaters, and I actually hadn't seen it all the way up until a couple of weeks ago. But I remember when it came out that it was rated PG-13, and that was a big no-no for the audiences, and you know, they didn't make nearly as much money as they had in the past with these movies. And so with this new one, they like heavily advertised in the previews like this is going to be an R-rated film and they're going to be back to form and it's going to be awesome. Unfortunately, I would have to highly disagree that this movie is back to form. So let's talk about a couple of things that, you know, are spoiler free that you're going to notice in the movie. One, the cinematography, direction, and the writing is very, very bad. You know, when we're if you've seen the previous Expendables movies, you know that there's like tanks, they have their own, you know, airplane that they fly for their missions and stuff, and in the previous movies, all of these vehicles looked like they were real. Every time a vehicle, well, not every time, but I'd say 90% of the time vehicles were on film. They looked like they were from a PS3. The CGI was bad, very bad in this movie. So visually, it was not very good. Sarah and I have seen a lot of movies in IMAX, so sometimes when we see a couple of movies in IMAX, and then we go to see a movie that's not in IMAX, you know, the audio is very, very different. And so, being with my dad, within like 10 to 15 minutes into the movie, I felt like the sound was off. Almost as if you were covering up your ears and then talking, and then you have like that muffled sound. And so I leaned over to my dad. Mind you, I probably could have had a full-on conversation with him at, you know, normal tone, because there was only like 5 people in the theater and all of the other people were very far away from us. It was not packed by any means for opening weekend. But I leaned over to my dad and I asked him, I said, does it sound like the audio is messed up? Am I going crazy here? And he said, no, it sounds very funny. Especially in the very beginning of the film. I don't know if the audio got better as the movie went on, or if I just got used to it, but something did not feel right with the way the audio was. And then also, so much of this movie looked like CGI. Like they were standing in front of a green screen. So it was bad. One of the things, you know, coming off of the third movie also, the third movie did not make nearly as much money as the first 2. So, you know, there's this idea of if we make a new one, we want to spend as as much money as possible, but deliver what people loved from the past, which was, you know, the over-the-top violence from all of our cool action stars. And so there's definitely some budget cuts in this movie. Not only from the, like I said, the audio and the visuals, but one of the characters, let's see, I have the list pulled up here of all the people. I think his name was Galen. Galen's character was the son of Antonio Banderas' character from the previous movie. And literally, I felt like he was only cast as a new character so they could spend less money on this actor than Antonio Banderas. Because literally his character was Antonio Banderas' character, but somebody else playing him. It was a way to not write him off, kind of a thing. Because everything he does is exactly like Antonio Banderas' character. They basically told the actor to go and imitate him. That's what I felt like happened. So we had that going on. There's some other things that happened with some of the actors that I feel possibly had to do with some budget cuts, and I'll talk about that in the spoilers because it'll make more sense. The story was very bland and predictable. I think what was the worst part for me though was, so this isn't spoilers, but the movie opens up with a set piece. It's a little bit different than the way things have happened in the past, and I'll explain that in a little bit with spoilers. But so we get one little opening piece, and then in the middle, there is another mission that happens, stuff goes on, and then, the Expendables have to figure out how to react to what happened in the middle part of it all. And then there's basically one more huge set piece. There isn't much of a progression of places that they go. It's, here's these 3 places, that's all we have money for, and then that was it. Again, not spoilers for that territory, but just kind of giving you, there's not a lot of substance to the movie. Let's see, how long was this movie? This movie was 1 hour and 43 minutes. I do not remember how long the other ones were, but it definitely felt like a movie that was somewhere in that hour and a half realm. So, it is what it is. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just give a rating, that way I can start talking more about what happens in the movie to give more substance to what I'm talking about. So if I were to give this movie a rating, on my way home I was thinking a certain number, but the more and more I thought about it, I really have to give this movie a 2 out of 10. Not even a 4 to go along with the movie's title, but I would say a 2 out of 10. I think this movie is way below average as far as the love and care for the way that the movie is presented to the audience. I think that was very unfair to not only the audience, but the paying tribute to the people that have been in the series before that aren't in these movies, and now their project that was successful in the past is now tainted by what happened here. So people like Van Damme, Schwarzenegger, Chuck Norris, Bruce Willis, all those people that were in previous movies that are not in this movie, this is not a good look. I do think this movie should have went straight to streaming or straight to Blu-ray, 4K, whatever, based on just the visuals. And like I said, the story was very bland. It was actually very predictable. I knew what the punchline was within about 20 minutes of the film. I knew what was going to happen. But yeah, there's not enough substance here. And unfortunately, it is super easy to see where they made budget cuts. And it doesn't feel good as an audience member going in, especially when the trailers are like, we're back to form, this is gonna be great, and then you get what you get, and it's just not quite there. So yeah, 2 out of 10 for me. I am gonna go into spoilers here, so if you don't want them, click away. But I think we gave you plenty of time to do that, so let's get rolling into what happens in the movie. So, if you're a fan of the Expendables and you've seen the previous ones, you know in the other ones that usually these movies open up with a set piece where, you know, the Expendables are just on some random mission and they are just, you know, blowing things up and us audience members are having a great time watching our favorite action heroes destroy things. This movie did not do that. This movie changed it up. This movie opened with the bad guy doing something as part of their overall arc. Now, the bad guy, I believe you pronounce his name Ramat, is my guess. It's Rahmat, Ramat. So he is going in and he's trying to steal these like bombs or something like that, explosives. And so we get I'd say a 5-minute action sequence of him and his group going into, I think it was Libya was where they were, and just destroying the base, getting to the leader of the base. They do really portray Ramat's character as a very bad guy. It's not shown on camera, but it's kind of shown off camera, so to speak, that he, you know, kills the leader of the base's wife, and he says, you know, if you don't give me the code to the safe that has the explosives, I'm gonna kill your son, and which is like 10 years old. And the leader gives him the code to open up the safe, and he pops his son anyways. So we can tell that he's a very bad guy because not only is he killing, you know, the dude's spouse, but he's also killing 10-year-olds on screen. So they establish that his character is bad, and he'll do whatever, you know, needs to happen to get what he wants. But he does eventually get these weapons, and he's, you know, the world is concerned that he's going to do some bad stuff with them. It cuts back and forth between that plot and what's going on with the Expendables in present day, like, you know, back home. The movie opens up with Barney went to this bar and he lost his lucky ring supposedly in a thumb wrestle. Okay, a thumb wrestle. And so he says that he's getting old and he needs Christmas to go with him to get his ring back. And he basically wants Christmas to do his dirty work. And so when they get to the bar, they find out that Barney lost his ring to somebody else. I forget what they called him. His name was something Shrimp? Jumbo Shrimp. Here it is. He lost it to a dude that was named Jumbo Shrimp. And it's funny because this movie is really trying to push some out there R-rated boundaries. And so when they're trying to find out where Barney's ring is, it's like on this dildo that's behind the counter, and it's like it's very realistic, and it's on it's on it. So you know, they're like, it's super disrespectful. And so Barney gives Christmas, you know, the brass knuckles that he's known for, and he goes over to beat up all these people so that he can get Barney's ring back. They duke it out, and eventually Barney gets his ring back. So then we also learn that Christmas is dating Megan Fox's character, which is Gina. Gina is also very, very skilled at what she does, just like the Expendables are. And so, you know, Christmas has a girlfriend that's much like him, so to speak. And so the Expendables get this mission where they're supposed to, you know, go and find this Ramat guy and recover the explosives so that he can't use them for what is supposedly going to be an invitation to World War III. What Ramat is trying to do is to create this big nuclear explosive on a boat, send it to Russia with the American flag up, and then, Russia thinks that America sent a bomb over there to start everything. And so the Expendables have to go and get the bomb so that this doesn't happen. Well, they get there, and basically, we get our shootout, and get a bunch of action scenes, all this cool stuff. But at the very end of all this, most of the Expendables are on the ground fighting, trying to get the bombs, whereas Barney is flying the plane. And Barney gets hit. Like, they're sending missiles up to try to take out the plane, and he keeps sending out, defense mechanisms to destroy the missiles, but he eventually runs out, and so a missile hits the plane, and, he's saying, carry on with the mission, I'll do what I can, and Christmas sees that there is another air defense turret that's about to fire a missile, and instead of pursuing Ramat, he takes his vehicle over to the turret and destroys the turret. However, Ramat fires at the plane anyways and destroys it, and it comes down, it crashes, and Ramat gets away. All the Expendables gather around the plane, and we see a body in the plane that was wearing the same uniform and everything as Barney and had his ring on, and so Barney's dead. That's what they all believe. And so they go back, they have like a little ceremony, get together thing at the bar that they go to, and because Christmas disobeyed orders, mind you, this mission was the middle part of the movie, that set piece I was talking about. So they tell Christmas that he's out because they disobeyed orders, and Gina is in as the leader of the Expendables. So Megan Fox is the new leader. So they get this mission to go and get Ramat, and they take off, her and the other Expendables. There are some, I don't remember if 50 Cent is a new character, but his character's name is Easy Day. He's in there. Gunner is back. Toll Road is back. I already talked about Galen or Galan. Lash is a new character as well that's part of the group. But anyway, so they have this mission to go and find the bomb on the boat because the boat is heading towards Russia and they will be blowing it up to frame the United States. And Christmas is told to be left behind. And so Christmas basically gives Gina the knife that has the Expendables logo on it, the tattoo that Barney has, and says, kill them for me, kind of a thing. And so, she takes off with her Expendables group, but Christmas put a tracker in the knife. And so now he's able to find his way to the boat eventually. He heads to a location where I guess there is another Expendable sympathizer or someone that was with the Expendables at one point, and he gets a boat from them. Meanwhile, this is important. When the Expendables are like on their way, this is the Gina's group is heading towards the boat. It's brought up that there was a mission that Barney was a part of in the past, and his whole crew pretty much got killed, and he had to fake his own death to make it successful. And so the reason why he had to fake his own death was that, a file would be opened so that it would become declassified so that they could now get more information on these baddies, because that's how they got more information for the mission that Gina is leading, is because Barney died, that they got this new folder of information to go and track people. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like if a piece of information is so important that World War III is about to start, there's got to be some way to get that information, but I digress. Anyways, so they find out about all that stuff, and Gina and her crew arrive at the ship. They go to, raid the bridge, and nobody's there, and they're like, what the heck? And then the lights go out and they get captured. So they're all captured, and now we resort to Christmas and the guy that he's working with, which is, I think his name is Decha, is how you pronounce it. And Decha is taking him to the big ship with the bomb on it, and he tells Christmas, this is as far as I go. You can go onto the boat. I have to turn back. And so Christmas goes up to the boat. He's making his way around, killing people silently, and Ramat is alerted that, hey, someone is on the boat and is taking people out. And so he actually ends up talking with Christmas over the walkie-talkies because Christmas picks it up and starts talking. It's interesting because so the Expendables group is in a little holding area, okay? It's like an air-sealed area of the ship. And one of the people that went with them is the person that gave them the job. He basically said, you failed to take out Ramat the first time. I'm going to go with you to make sure you're doing your job. So when they're in this little locked area, Ramat's crew comes in and says, who's the leader? And I believe it was Toll Road that said he was the leader. So they were like, we don't care about you. And they take the dude that gave him the mission in the first place to be questioned. I'm trying to see, I believe that character's name was Marsh. And so Marsh is taken away, and the rest of the crew notices that there's this little door, so to speak, in the room. And this door is supposed to open up if it it reacts if liquid touches it. So if for some reason the boat was filling with water and nobody could get out of that room, the door would open so that the people could get out of the room. And so they're like, we need water. And one of them's like, it was Gunner. Gunner was like, does anybody have to pee? And Toll Road was like, yeah, I've been dying to pee. And so Toll Road goes over there, pees on the door, and the door opens. Which is kind of funny because the one person that decides to go through the door first is the Galen character. And while they were on their way to the boat, Galen was talking about this woman that was really into golden showers. And so when he went into the little pocket of whatever you want to call it, a little doorway that they had to pee on, Gunner's like, I guess he really was into golden showers, because as he went in, pee was dripping on him. So really weird jokes that they played off of. So they get out. Christmas eventually finds out that Decha stayed with him and is on the boat now, helping him clear his way to try to rescue his friends. They do eventually meet up, and they work together to go and find Ramat. Christmas faces off with Ramat, and turns out that Marsh was actually double-crossing them. Marsh was working with Ramat, and they're trying to, he's trying to pin what is happening on the Expendables so that he can make money and whatever. So Christmas faces off with Ramat, ends up killing him, and by this time in the movie, the Expendables are trying to get off the boat because the bomb is active, because it's going to blow up in Russia. And as the Expendables are leaving the boat, Christmas says, I have to do what I have to do. I have to turn this boat around so that it doesn't, get to Russia, so that the United States, doesn't get framed for it. And so he cuts the line so that the Expendables cannot come back to get him, and they take off. And he goes in to the bridge, turns the boat around, and the bad guys are just peppering him with shots. And eventually some explosions happen out of nowhere, and what was his name? Marsh is out on the deck, and he's like, "Come on, let's fight mano a mano." And Christmas accepts, but as he's going down there, another explosion happens, and Marsh is killed. And come to find out, Barney was never dead. Barney saves Christmas, and they fly away. Well, before they fly away, Barney turns around and he's like, "Where's the bomb at?" And Christmas says, "Oh, it's at this part of the ship." And so Barney uses his missiles on his helicopter to blow a hole into the ship so that the bomb falls out of the ship. The ship sinks too, but so the bomb goes underwater, and when it blows up, then it'll blow up underwater and not destroy things above water. So then they get away, and Christmas is like, "How'd you get away? How'd you do it?" And the jumbo shrimp guy that won his ring, I guess Barney had like knocked him out or something and put him on the ship as a stowaway or something, and he used him to fake his own death, just like he had done before, to make a mission successful. And so he's not dead. And then the movie ends with them all being back at the bar and having a great time and celebrating and stuff. And that's pretty much the movie. So it's crazy to me that the opening set had nothing to do with the Expendables have two major sets, and that is it in this whole movie. The opening sequence is all about the bad guy, really has nothing to do with the Expendables. The middle of the movie is where Christmas messes up, and that's not a super long sequence, but the ending, when they're on the boat, that is a very long sequence. I would be willing to almost bet money that it was probably around 45 minutes. Like, almost half the movie had to have been on that boat. But yeah, the plot wasn't so strong. The writing and the jokes weren't very great. It basically seemed like a lot of things where, they've been done before in movies, and so they tried to stick them in here to, feel like old classic action movies, and they just didn't pay off. The actors did a great job with what they were given. I will not take that away from them. The actors did a very, very good job, but it's like the editing room and the filming of it was completely the wrong way to go about this film. With them knowing that they kind of misstepped with the third movie and they're trying to do better with the fourth one, where they cut money was in the wrong spots. Oh, I mentioned that there was a spending expense that I had mentioned is possibly somewhere in there. The whole idea that Stallone was in the movie for only maybe 20 to 25 minutes is my guess. The fact he was in the movie very little because they had said that he was killed, I think that probably had a lot to do with some budget cuts too, because then you don't have to pay him nearly as much. But you have all these other people that either, don't act very much anymore, like Megan Fox, or people that haven't acted a whole lot before, which is a lot of the rest of the crew. So, yeah, I would give this movie a 2 out of 10. If you're interested in seeing it because you're an Expendables fan, I would highly recommend doing so in a way where you don't really have to pay for it. Like, don't go to the movie theaters, wait till it comes out on streaming. I wouldn't even recommend renting it because you're still paying more money into it. Wait till it's on like Netflix, HBO, Peacock, whatever it ends up on. And I feel really bad saying that because I want the actors to be supported, but the movie studio also needs to know that I feel like this movie was worse than the third movie. And the third movie wasn't entirely exciting, especially because they had to pull back on the rating. I really thought with the previous movies, the villain of the movies was somebody super well known, and I had no idea who this villain was. Let's see if I can. Alright, I'm clicking on to see what other movies this guy has been in. There's a hand. Whoa, he was in Star Wars. That's crazy. I did not reckon. I don't know this character, Razu Quinn Fee. But yeah, he's not in a. He's been in 15 movies, including the Expendables. The second movie had Van Damme. The third movie had Mel Gibson. The first movie had Steve Austin, and I really apologize. I don't know his name, but I can pick him out of a crowd. This movie just wasn't it, and they could have done better. And I feel like it's a complete disservice to, like I said, the big names that are being used in this movie. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Again, the movie wasn't very good. Do what you need to if you want to see this movie. If you enjoyed this type of video, we typically have more than one person on, but if you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when more of our movie discussions drop. Drops a like if you like the video, and drops a comment letting us know if you're planning on seeing Expendables 4. Was I completely wrong? Did you love this movie? I know it's really hurting at the box office for opening weekend, so let us know. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.